Thank you for those who came and are trickling in. We are very excited to be here today. My name is Sam. I'm with the Fair Trade Sustainability Alliance. I've been with FairTSA for just over 3 years. I'm an office administrator. I will run into people collecting quarterly reports, checking on compliance being maintained as far as social premiums, who is shipping and receiving FairTSA products, as well as general outreach. And I'm based out of New York. Uh, we are very excited to have this webinar today and to be joined by Francesca, representing the WFTO, who will be giving a short presentation today on their program. FairTSA is a certification scheme recognized by the WFTO for the monitoring of suppliers. So what that means is WFTO members that buy FairTSA certified products don't need to do any additional monitoring on their suppliers. So that product is considered fair trade and can be carried through with the WFTO product label when sold by WFTO members. And Francesca, as well as Winfried, with a presentation from FairTSA, will give us a better idea of what all of that means. Winfried is a co-founder and executive director of FairTSA for more than 10 years. He lives among the trees and meadows of upstate New York with me in this part of town. Francesca is a compliance officer with the WFTO. Throughout the meeting, people are able to raise their hand as well as send questions into the chat that come up. We're going to keep it around an hour, 2 brief presentations with some time for questions and discussion. Other than that, I think I will turn it over to Francesca at this time to tell us more about the WFTO.
Yes, thank you, Sam, for the introduction, and thank you for those that are here. I would like to first say that at WFTO, we are very happy for the recognition of FairTSA as a scheme for the monitoring of suppliers, because we think that this will facilitate the verification process for those members that are sourcing FairTSA certified products, in the sense that they will have fewer monitoring requirements to meet. And I will explain later what this means in practice. And also for those members that are thinking about sourcing more fair trade certified products, we think that it's good that now that they can maybe give further consideration to the option provided by FairTSA. So I'll start by sharing my screen to explain a bit about WFTO. I will not see you while I share my screen. So if you have any questions, please feel free to just stop me anytime. So I also don't want to go too much into details. I just want to provide some information to the WFTO members here that want to understand better what the recognition means. And I also want to provide a bit more of general information about the WFTO and our verification process, if some of you don't know much about it yet. So for WFTO, I would like to start with the premise that that WFTO is a community of fair trade enterprises. So our members can be producer organizations, but also brands, retailers, importers, and even non-trading organizations. But all of them put the people and the planet first in everything they do by committing to the 10 principles of fair trade, which are the ones that you can see displayed in here. So the 10 principles have been developed over the years within the WFTO membership, and any changes to the principles would require a general meeting agreement. So as you can see, the principles cover a variety of social and environmental topics. If you would like to see what the principles mean in practice, then you would need to look at the WFTO Fair Trade Standard, which is a document that you can also find on the WFTO website. And it's a document that for each principles outline a series of compliance criteria, which are requirements that members have to meet within a certain period of time to really implement the overall principle. So ensuring that all of our members commit and implement the principles as they are interpreted in the standard is what the guarantee system does. So our verification process. And the guarantee system does this verification through a mechanism that combines self-assessment reports, desk reviews, and independent monitoring audits. So I'll briefly explain each one of these components.
Can you show us the slide? It's not been moving down.
Oh, sorry, I think that I heard something. Is there a question?
Yeah, the slides are not moving. You know, can you move it to the next slide with
It doesn't move? You don't see it?
No, it's possible that you're sharing the. I don't know. Now it's on self-assessment report, but it didn't move down before.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'll try again. Maybe I'll just keep it like this. Do you see it now?
It's on self-assessment report. Maybe, yeah.
So we are at the self-assessment report.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, perfect. So I will keep it as it is, and then stop me please again if it doesn't move forward.
Okay.
Yeah, so the self-assessment report is a form that members normally need to complete once every 2 years. And it's basically a form where they need to answer questions about how they meet the requirements of the standard. And hopefully it's also an opportunity for members to reflect on their practices in the light of the 10 principles. While completing this self-assessment report, members also need to explain how they have set up their internal monitoring system. So how they monitor the practices of their producers and suppliers. I hope that you can see the slide of the internal monitoring system. Everything is all right? Yeah, okay, great. So basically, the guarantee system want to make sure, so with our verification process, we want to make sure that fair trade is happening at the level of the member organization, but also along the supply chain. So also at the level of producers and suppliers of fair trade products. So if a member is buying products from producers or suppliers that are not member or that are not otherwise fair trade verified, then they need to personally monitor their practices and ensure that their producers and suppliers are fair trade as well. So to make things clearer, what needs to be covered by the internal monitoring system of a member is just the direct producers and suppliers of semi-finished and finished fair trade products or ingredients. So basically, the internal monitoring system focuses on the production of the product. So we want to see that the finished product has been produced under fair trade conditions. So what is not covered by the IMS is, for instance, the providers of raw materials and components. To give you an example, if you are a producer organization and you yourself are producing leather bags, then we will not ask you to create an internal monitoring system to monitor the practices of the providers of raw materials and components such as leather or zippers, because we feel that because the production of the bag is happening at the level of your organization. So we want to see that fair trade practices are implemented there, and we don't look too much into the practices of the providers of the zippers and the leather. So in this case, you will not need to set up an internal monitoring system, so a structured and formal way of monitoring. You will just need to have a sourcing policy. So you will need to, so we will ask you to make some, to take steps to try to source these materials and components fair trade as much as possible, but we also understand that this might not be possible. And in that case, we will ask you to try to source them from ethical and sustainable sources wherever possible. So, of course, the internal monitoring system is only applicable in case you are buying products, as I mentioned, from producers and suppliers that are not otherwise verified as fair trade. In case you are buying your products or semi-finished products from producers that are verified fair trade according to one of the schemes that is listed in the standard, then you will not need to set up the internal monitoring system. The list of the recognized schemes, you can see that there in the image, can also be found, as I said, in the fair trade standard. So again, on our website. And as you can see in the list, there is FairTSA. So this means that if you are a guaranteed member and you are buying your products FairTSA certified, you will not need to monitor the practices of the suppliers selling you those products, because we consider that supplier to be externally verified. So in the end, you will be able to sell that product as fair trade, and that product will be allowed to carry the WFTO product label. So it's a bit easier to work with externally verified suppliers of fair trade products, because for the reason that you just don't need to set up the internal monitoring system, which of course require a bit of time and effort. So moving forward to see the other components of the guarantee system. So we have the monitoring audit, which is an external review performed by an external social auditor. And the aim of the monitoring audit is to verify your practices as a member on site. So all the things that you wrote about in the self-assessment report will be verified by the auditor during a visit to your organization. And in the monitoring audit is included also a visit to some of your producers and suppliers, only those that are unverified, to ensure that your internal monitoring system is working well. So the monitoring audit will not cover the suppliers that are externally verified. Then another component of the guarantee system is the desk audit. The desk audit happens normally 2 years after the external monitoring audit, and it is a review performed by our office directly. And it's meant to see what progress has been made since your previous monitoring audit, and also to help you identify new potential areas for improvement, so that you will be able to work on those areas and be best prepared for your next monitoring audit. The desk audit does not include any visits on site. It's just an online meeting and does not entail any additional costs. Then the last component of the guarantee system is the Fair Trade Accountability Watch. So this is not a requirement for members to meet. So it's not like the self-assessment report or the monitoring audit. It's just a platform that we have on our website through which anyone could file a complaint against a WFTO member if they find that the member is not committing to one of the principles. So when a complaint is raised through the Fair Trade Accountability Watch, we receive a notification, and we and the Guarantee System Committee will follow up and investigate on the complaint and take action. So the Fair Trade Accountability Watch, let's say that's an additional component of the guarantee system to ensure that our verification process is solid and credible, and that all of our members commit to the 10 principles. So now, I would like to briefly mention how the guarantee system applies in practice. So how the verification process works if you are an organization that wants to become a guaranteed member of the WFTO. So the first step would be to complete an application form. The application form you will need to explain how you put the people and the planet first as an organization. So you need to explain a bit about your mission, and you will need to answer some questions that help us understand how you meet some basic requirements of the standard. You will also be asked to submit some additional documentation, and then all of this will be reviewed by our office to make a recommendation for our board. Ultimately, it's the WFTO board that decides on approval. Once your application has been approved, then you reach candidate status, and you will start to enjoy some limited benefits of membership. After that, you will have 1 year to complete your first self-assessment report, which we saw before. And the self-assessment report is basically just a longer version of the application form. So you will need to explain how you meet compliance with all the requirements of the standard. After that, you will need to go through your first external monitoring audit. Once you have completed the audit successfully, then you will reach guaranteed status. At this point, you will be assigned to a risk category, which determines how often you need to go through the guarantee system cycle. So how often you need to update your self-assessment report, how often you need to go through another audit, and so on. And the majority of our trading members is assigned to a medium risk factor, which means that they have a 4-year cycle. So every 2 years, there is a SAR, a self-assessment report, plus a monitoring audit. 2 years later, a SAR plus a desk audit. So basically, the monitoring audit and the desk audit alternate each other once every 4 years. Once you are a member, of course, you can also start to enjoy all the benefits of membership. And just briefly, I will mention a few of them. So you will be able to use the product label on your products, the member mark, and also the first buyer label. I will show how they look like in a moment. Then you will enjoy more visibility because all members are visible on the WFTO website through a detailed and a geographical members search. Then the WFTO office is always trying to develop new projects and partnerships with like-minded organizations so that we can try to increase our members' visibility, skills, opportunities, and overall market access possibilities. And also, I think it's very important to remark that WFTO is a community. So when you are a member of the WFTO, you start to being part of a network of like-minded individuals and organizations. So it's a great opportunity to start collaborate and work together with fellow members on a variety of activities as well as campaign activities. So before concluding, I just wanted to show you the mark and the label and the first buyer label that I mentioned. So this is the member mark, and it's basically used for communication purposes. So you can use that on your website, stationery, leaflets, flyers, and so on. This is the standard mark, but it can also include the name of the member. And we also have the product label, which is instead to be used on the actual fair trade products. Again, this is the standard label, but we can also add the name of your organization in there. There is no additional license fee for the use of the label because everything is included in the annual membership fees. And lastly, we have the first buyer label, which is a label that we offer to the buyers of our guaranteed members. So if you are a guaranteed member and you have a buyer that would like to sell your products with showing the connection with WFTO, then they can apply to become first buyers. So they don't need to become members. They don't need to go through the verification process. They just need to sign a contract with WFTO and with the guaranteed member and pay a license fee. And at that moment, they can start using the first buyer label, which says basically that the product they are selling has been sourced from a guaranteed member of the WFTO. So this is it. But of course, I will be very happy to answer any questions that you might have.
I would like to I have a clarifying question. You said that ingredients are the term for food, right? And they need to be subject to the verification. And
Exactly.
raw materials are for more, non-food.
Yes, exactly. So basically, I think that it's important to remark again that when we're talking about the internal monitoring system, so what members need to do to monitor their producers and suppliers, we're always talking about producers and suppliers of either semi-finished, finished products or ingredients. So when we're talking about raw materials and components, we're mainly talking about handicrafts production.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Thank you for your presentation, Francesca.
Of course.
Was there a question from?
Yeah.
Vince?
Joaquin, he's muted, right? Can you, maybe not.
Okay, we will have more time for questions and discussion as well following Winfried's presentation. If there is anything that comes up again, feel free to use the chat feature or just pop your audio on. Thank you again, Francesca. And if all else is well, we can move into the presentation from Winfried about FairTSA.
My pleasure. Okay, welcome again, everybody who's there. I'll give you a brief overview of what we're doing and as both Francesca and Sam said, questions are always welcome. So I'm going to share my screen. Okay, and then we go here. Okay, so the second part. How do we fit in or how does FairTSA fit in the WFTO guarantee system? And as Francesca said, we are WFTO recognized for the monitoring of suppliers, and that means ingredient suppliers, mostly food. So very briefly, who are we? We are a fair trade program. That means we work with accreditation, inspection, and certification. We are a standard holder only. We have a unique approach to certification. We use an open accreditation process and work with international certification agencies and an extensive network of regional inspectors. Open accreditation process means that each ISO 17065 accredited certification agency can apply with us. We check if there are any adverse records, if they have the ability to do what they're saying to do, and then we accredit them under our system. Our philosophy, we believe in engagement with farmer and worker communities through empowerment, inclusivity, and opportunity. We believe in creating opportunities by way of appreciation of small farmers and workers, and that is materialized by direct communication with all participants in the supply chain. For example, if there's a problem, like we have currently, we have a producer, there is a slight dispute about the licensing fee, the social premium. We negotiate that with them. They can file a claim. We discuss it with both parties and come to a resolution. We have our unique project-based accountability system. I can talk about that later more, but it's not mandatory for WFTO. And accountability is necessary to create and maintain trust and document impact. For us, among others, that means typically our organizations or our producers are inspected once a year, inspected and certified. We offer free producer webinars. If you want to learn more about it, you can sign up on our website, regardless of who you are. They're live and interactive, and you can ask questions, and hopefully they will be answered. We explain the main features of the FairTSA program, and it is a mandatory element of the application process. And in our experience, that makes the job of the inspectors and certifiers easier as well. It gives us a very clear idea what the operation is, so that we can stay in contact and understand what's going on better. We discuss topics such as equivalency and the general fair trade landscape, so producers can make an informed decision. I'm not going to delve here into the general fair trade landscape. If anybody has questions about that, we can discuss them later. Our standard, that's the basis for our work, if you so will, is developed by the FairTSA Standard Committee with inputs from public comments. Several other fair trade standards are considered. Standard review is every 5 years, and minor changes can be made in between for clarification and minor updates. So the basis for our standards are applicable ILO conventions, human rights declarations by the UN, the UN Agenda 2030 for Sustainability Goals, the Nagoya Protocol, especially with regard to valuable indigenous resources and their use and appreciation. And of course, our own long-time experience in working with rural communities worldwide. Our standard scopes are organic agriculture and processing, conventional agriculture and processing, textiles and cosmetics. And what we have currently under review is domestic agriculture and processing. We hope to publish the US domestic standard in the very near future, and a few months later, maybe in spring, the domestic standard for the EU and the handicraft standard. That shouldn't take long either, and we will publish a completely new version of that. This is our network of global certifiers, and we've chosen this model basically for two reasons. One reason, no, actually, it's three. One is, of course, we want to keep our carbon footprint low. So we want to work as much with local and regional partners. We also acknowledge the knowledge, the skills that have been accumulated in these regional partners. So I am sometimes blown away. I go to the Philippines and I work with these inspectors, and I'm amazed at how difficult and how committed these people sometimes are. So I have a lot of respect for these. And yes, like in all organizations, some are extremely good, some are not so good. But overall, I must say I'm extremely impressed. And that's a first-hand impression. So as you can see, we currently work, I think, with 10 certifiers. We also have an equivalency agreement with HEMA, IBD, Fair Trade. Our certifier management, we create the inspection and certification forms for the certifiers to maintain consistent quality across all cooperating certification agencies. FairTSA system plan, the inspection report, and the reviewer checklist. The system plan is something that we discuss in the mandatory producer webinar. It's the basis for pre-assessment by the certifier and also by the producer organization. Basically, it's a check. Are we ready for inspection? And it allows the inspector to prepare. It must be updated in case of changes before subsequent inspections. We do certifier trainings. Only inspectors with at least 2 years of experience and an education in a related field, agriculture, social work, are permitted. Inspectors are trained every 2 years. Next week, there is a training happening with about 10 to 15 participants. It's conducted either face-to-face or via Zoom. It consists of 2-hour-long sessions. And I should say a pre-training questionnaire that serves to check the engagement of the inspectors and also creates a livelier training environment. We do spot check of inspection reports and certification decisions to ensure uniform applicability of requirements. We also have what we call an inspection and certification guide that basically defines all major standard non-compliances. Fair prices. Our policy is prices for our certified products must cover production cost plus a reasonable margin. The price is negotiated between buyer and seller, facilitated by FairTSA upon request. Sometimes we have situations where a seller says we cannot sell at this price and cover our cost and make a living. And usually we find a compromise in these situations so that the seller actually gets a price that they truly can live with. For bananas, coffee, tea, and cocoa beans, the Fair Trade Labeling Organization's premiums and minimum prices apply with some variations. And that is another of our features. We're flexible. We try, as I said, we try to stay in contact with all members of the supply chain. If there are problems, we do our best to resolve them. And in many cases, that works well. Living wages is another topic that becomes more and more to the fore. It is a challenge and a goal to which we are committed. On the other hand, we also see that it's impossible to jump from a minimum wage or the current prevalent wage in an industry to a true living wage. So we chose an approach that we call minimum wage plus to achieve living wages in the near future. Minimum wages are not enough anymore. There must be considerable additions to the minimum wage, but we do not throw out a producer because they cannot immediately pay the full living wage. In some countries, the gap is huge. We are currently working with Ethiopia in a case, and you know, a true living wage is 5 times the minimum wage. And if you do that right away, you basically put producers out of business. So there's no fairness in that. So you need to find a way to slowly go from a minimum wage plus to a living wage. And that's the way that we have chosen, and that's what we're committed to. So that means that producers must show that they are committed to working toward living wages, and they must document steps toward that goal in a reasonable time frame. For larger operations, the time frame is 3 years. For smaller operations, this time frame can be extended. And if they really cannot do it, they must document it to their workforce and to the certifier, and then they must find a compromise. There's the FairTSA producer database that may be interesting or is probably interesting for some of the WFTO members. It's a tool for any operation. Anybody can look it up. FairTSA certified or not. It's searchable. You can locate specific producers for specific products. It's easily accessible via our website. Let me see if that works. Oh, it doesn't work here. It's on my other screen. Okay. Let me show it briefly. So you go in and you find our banana producers. So it's relatively easy, and you find all our banana producers there. Okay. If you don't find products or product, contact us. Often we can source products that are not yet available, or we can get new producers online. That is one of our participants here. Joachim knows this very well, that it can be sometimes tricky, but we try our best, and I think he would confirm this. How to get certified? Identify the certifier you want to work with. Sign up for a FairTSA producer webinar. It's also easily accessible on our website, like the database. Producers send applications to both the certifier and FairTSA. We will review the application, inform the certifier. The producer fills out the FairTSA system plan and submits it to the certifier, and the certifier schedules the inspection, makes the decision, and issues the certificate. So typically, we do not issue the producer certificate. You will get that, a producer organization will get that from the certification agency. And we will send a copy to the WFTO member. So I'll talk a little bit about our fair trade program, because there's one component that is not mandatory for WFTO, but a WFTO member can decide to opt in. So the certification is just the beginning. So as a recognized scheme for the monitoring of WF member suppliers, the social responsibility aspect of the Regenerative Organic Alliance, and for the FairTSA Fair Trade Program. So as a side note, we are also accepted by ROC. To get into the Fair Trade Program, the buyer of the program signs a licensing agreement with FairTSA. They can use the FairTSA logo. They pay the fair trade price to the producer. They pay a social premium that is used for community development. So this, by the way, here on the right-hand side is a project in the Philippines. It depicts solar lighting. Meanwhile, it's about 30,000 people that are equipped, and this is here, it's the community members themselves who have been trained, and they do basically all themselves. They assemble the panels, they do the lighting, and they put the poles in the ground. So this is meanwhile, I think it's more than 20 communities on Mindanao in the southern Philippines. The projects are chosen by the stakeholders at the producer facility through communal decision-making. There's an annual documentation and planning, a participatory self-evaluation system for direct project evaluation and progress impact. This increases the sustainability and the resilience of rural and smallholder communities. What is this? Again, as I said, we believe in engagement with farmer and worker community. What is this? Sorry, there's
double.
Yeah. Let's go there. Let's go into the an example. This is an example from Pratiti Organic Foods in India. They do cash crop cultivation of heirloom basmati rice. They have one of the very few original heirloom basmati rice lines in India. Not every basmati is actually basmati. They support the system of rice intensification, a method of minimizing water use, improving crop yield, and decreasing methane emissions. They do capacity building by way of farmer trainings and support for model farms. They're supporting women farmers especially. They meanwhile have more than 200, I believe, in a network. They support cash crop planting for vulnerable households, and they train homestead planting and kitchen gardening advice. They give advice and inputs. So it's a really multifaceted operation. Another operation is Elite Organic in Turkey, very different. They have chosen to build a high school with a sports complex for about 300 children. It's in central Anatolia, where schooling often is very hard to come by. So this is a modern school that they're building there as a model, and hopefully other community will follow this. These facilities will provide an important place for students to experience new approaches that support modern learning needs and their interest while supporting critical thinking. So we believe strongly in education. We have many education projects, especially with emphasis on gender equality, giving girls the same opportunities as boys. So, and this is how we do our projects. We have a system of project-based accounting. The producer community submits a proposal. We evaluate. There's also a project evaluation by the producer community that is submitted. We review and give feedback of project proposals. Sometimes we request additions, changes, and then the inspector checks documentation against project progress or completion, and that includes the financial documentation for the social premium. And with that, I'll stop here and give room for questions. Thank you for listening. We're looking forward to a meaningful dialogue, if it's today, later, via email, via WhatsApp, whatever. And we especially appreciate anybody who's sharing the mission. Thank you.
Thank you, Winfried. Okay. On that note, those are our two presentations we had scheduled for today. At this time, I would like to open the floor to any questions, dialogue about either organization. We're a small crew, but now is a good time if you would like to get some direct feedback or answers. So I know that we will at least be here until 10 a.m. and I definitely encourage anyone to share. We do have a hand up. Yeah, Nettie, if you'd like to just unmute yourself and shout out.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Just want to know something about the system of the FTSA. About the is it possible for the trading in the to get the certifications or only for producers? And then does the certification of the FTSA is cover all of the world or just in the any certain regions? And what the the procedure of the audit? Is that a landfill is also being audit, and if there's in the one lands there is many product like maybe a banana or mango. Is there's are they can be certified all of them or just one product?
No.
Thank
no.
you. That's all.
Okay. So to the last question, we do not have product standards for agricultural, for individual products, for agricultural projects with few exceptions. There is a little bit about coffee and cacao in addition, but basically a banana, a mango, a coconut, chia, you name it, quinoa, all agricultural products can be certified. As far as the region goes, we basically work all over the planet. You can shoot in most regions, we have at least 2 certifiers that work there. So, for example, I assume you're from Indonesia. I know that Control Union is working in Indonesia. I believe that Ceres has clients in Indonesia, and BioAgriCert may also have clients there. So the first step is you attend the mandatory producer webinar, and then you choose a certification agency that works with us. You can look them up on our website. And if you don't know the right person, we can direct you, send us a brief email, and we direct you to the person in charge. And then what the certifier will do, they will send you an application and that you have to fill out, and you have to fill out our application. And then the certifier will issue a cost estimate. That cost estimate is binding unless there are additional, services that were not foreseen. We charge a producer fee that depends a little bit on where you are, and then the inspector or the auditor will come. Let's say it's a control union auditor. They will, the first thing that they will do is they will ask you to fill out the FairTSA system plan. That's step 1. Then they will review the system plan, ask for additional information, or schedule the audit, or we call it inspection. If you pass the inspection, the certifier sends then the inspector sends the inspection report to their reviewer or certifier. That's called the 4I principle that is required by ISO 17065. So the auditor doesn't make the decision. The decision is made by a reviewer or /certifier. So then, in this case, control union or CERS or BioArguCert, whoever would issue the certificate for this specific product. That is basically the process. Does that answer your question?
Yeah. And then can I get how much is the certification fee?
You have to ask the certifier. They will give you a cost estimate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And then if there so this is only for the producer, right? Not the trading.
Well, typically in our system, for the trading there is also a limited audit required.
Okay, and then once the last this certified is based on the organizations or the land.
Well, that's up to the certifier. I don't, they have all the they have their systems. So we do
okay,
not interfere. They said they're responsible for issuing the cost estimate, and they can tell you exactly how they do that.
Okay, understand. Thank you, Mr. Winfried.
Oh, you're very welcome.
Any other general questions or inquiries today? Feel free to shout out. I think what I'll do as well is in the chat, just drop at least some contact information. Francesca, is it okay with you to share your WFTO email?
Of course. I was trying actually to write in the chat, but I can't this very moment. I don't know why.
Oh.
Otherwise, can I ask you the favor to just add my email for me? That would be great.
Monitoring.
Oh, okay. I think I can do it now. Yeah, okay. Now I can write to everyone. Okay, that's great. I'll do that. So
Can I get the recordings or the presentation from Francesca and Winfried to my emails, maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can send a link.
Okay, thank you.
I also put a link to the WFTO Fair Trade Standard. That's also actually the page where you can download, you can see more about the principles and the guarantee system in case you want more details. I would suggest look at that page. But otherwise, for any questions, really just write me an email.
Yeah, and if you would like the recording from me, Nettie, as well as the whole meeting, you can reach out to my email as well. I'm at sam@fairtsp.com, available for any general inquiries. I did also drop Winfried's email there as well, should anyone want to reach out. I think that we are about wrapped up. I will stay on for just another 5 minutes, but I am very grateful to anybody who did make it out today. This is the first time we were trying something like this, and I thought that it was very successful overall, and it was nice to collaborate and see you, Francesca, and learn a bit more about where we fit in to this exciting development. So, yeah.
Thank you, Alec. Likewise, and thank you for all for joining today.
Mm-hmm.
Same here. And I'm looking forward to any communications, any questions you may have.
So yeah. And as far as that chat I can send the recording of today to the participants who are here. So not a problem. Of course, thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye, Francesca.
Bye.
Bye-bye.